Whenever you are.
Okay, great. The only person really that didn't practice today was Eric Fisher. Everybody else practiced and got some reps in. So with that, we look forward to the challenge of playing the Bucs, and now they have a heck of a good football team, and obviously, or they wouldn't be in this position, and a great coaching staff. So with that, time's yours.
We'll go first to Herbie Teoke. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Coach, just wanted to get this one out of the way. Eric Bieniemy obviously was passed up again, 7 head coaching jobs. Two-part question here. How surprised and disappointed are you that he was passed over again? And secondly, on the flip side, how pleased are you you're going to have him for another year as you prepare for the Super Bowl?
Yeah. I'm glad I have him, but I'm not so glad I have him, so I was really hoping that he would have an opportunity to take one of these jobs. I mean, you guys know what I think of him. I think he's great, and I think he would be great for any of the number of teams that opened up and help them win football games and also develop men into men. So, I just think he's a great person that way.
Next to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Andy, a couple things. First, I'm just curious whether you guys are doing anything different these 2 weeks with regard to COVID that maybe you didn't do in the regular season, taking any extra precautions. And Brad, I'll have one quick follow-up as well.
Yeah, so Adam, the league has done a nice job of just increasing the different things that they've asked us to do to make sure that we keep ourselves safe. And, so that, I mean, we're rolling with that. They've got a good plan. They've done a lot of research on it. So we're just following along what the league has.
Okay. And Pat went to Kelsey and Hill a lot in the playoffs. And I know that's nothing new because he did a lot during the regular season as well, but he's setting records in how he's throwing to those guys in the playoffs. Anything unusual or particular about the 2 games you played that led him to go that way so often?
No, I just think that was within the progression, and he ended up reading through it. He's using everybody, which is a good thing, but those guys obviously end up being called on. Now, as you saw last time, the Bucs worked double teams against us on those 2, and so we've got to work on that and make sure we've got those things covered there.
Go next to Omar Ruiz. Go ahead, Omar.
Hi, Andy. I'm just curious, when you're facing a team that's as explosive as Tampa Bay, how that might affect your aggressiveness in game planning in a matchup like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, in this league, you've got to stay aggressive all the time. I mean, teams are just too good, and you get to this level here, and the Bucs are good on offense, or explosive on defense, both spots, and so you've got to do the best you can to score points and to stop them. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And but this league, I mean, there's so much parity in this league, and such a small margin between winning and losing, even in the regular season, that you're not going to be using too many 4-corner stalls. I mean, that's just not how you're going to roll.
Go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Coach, just a question about your preparation. I know last year, before you head down to Miami to play the 49ers, you tried to have the game plan installed. I know you guys won't be heading down until later this time. How has that changed maybe your thought process? And if it hasn't, why was that so effective to repeat it again?
Yeah, so the media demands, I think, are greater next week than they are this week. That's the way it is when you go to my to the last year when we went to Miami. So, I just want to make sure we have everything in, and when we go with it, and we can review it as we go next week. So, no different that way in my thinking. Just again, you guys have a job to do. This is a big event, and so we know it's an increased time period that we'll be spending with you next week.
We'll go next to Sam Mellinger. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Andy, I'm curious, when you have a rematch like this, and I know you guys played in the back half of the season, week 12, but teams change so much, right? Like, and I know you're going to look at everything, but generally speaking, can you give us an idea of like, would you find the tape from your game in week 12 more helpful, or do you find some of the more recent games that the Bucs have played more helpful in trying to get a feel for where they are right now?
Yeah. So one of the advantages of having a week is you look at every game. I mean, that's just how you go back through and roll with it. So, but they're a hot football team right now, and they're doing some really good things, and both on both sides of the ball. I mean, Tom looked as good as he's looked that first half, and I mean, it's a tribute to their coaches and Tom and the guys around him. So, and then defensively, Todd does a ton of things on defense. So we've got to, you got to be sharp when you're playing against a Todd Bowles team. So
Let's go next to Tyrann Petro. Go ahead, Tyrann.
Coach and Brad, I'd like to follow up, but first, you did work a long time, Coach, with David Culley, and I know here in Kansas City we may be micro-focused on Coach Bieniemy, but what were some of the traits that you saw? I mean, certainly he's got a fine resume himself, but just kind of your impression of him as a head coach, and then I'll follow up with something.
yeah, David will do a good job. He's a people person. He'll bring energy to the building, and one of the most loyal guys I've ever been around. So he's just he's a great person. I mean, we were together 18 years, so we had a few cheeseburgers together. Yeah.
And then your defense, Coach. I know offense, maybe sells tickets, but defensively, your units really come together, and especially here in the postseason. Did it click a little bit later this year? But do you feel like it's firing on the same kind of cylinders it was going into the postseason last year?
Yeah, listen, they're doing well right now. So I think that we keep that up. That'll be an important part of the game, obviously. I thought we continually got better as the season went on. I thought Spags did a nice job of just introducing new things each week. And we got healthy, and the guys just played better. I mean, that's how it rolled. But we're sure playing at a decent level right now. And like I told you this the other day, there's plenty of room to get better on both sides of the ball and special teams. But we're working on all that. I mean, every day we're trying to do a little bit more to make ourselves better.
Let's go next to Diana Rossini. Go ahead, Diana.
Hi, Andy.
Hi, Diana.
Nice to see you.
Yes.
Looking back from when you guys first played, their front four was really dominant, and you guys obviously have some injuries on your offensive line now. What are you going to do to help your O-line just improve and be able to keep up with this Bucs D?
Yeah, they're impressive. And they're playing again. That group is playing at a very high level. You saw that with their front against Green Bay, and they had constant pressure there on Aaron. So, our guys are working hard at making sure fundamentally we're sound and schematically we're sound, and we've got to. You're right. We have to just make sure we keep it tight there and good protection, run the ball well. Those things are important. So fundamentals right now, though.
Got time for a couple more. We'll go Todd Lebo and then Vahe. Go ahead, Todd.
Coach, I got maybe an unusual question, but it seems like maybe an appropriate time. You had some guys opt out voluntarily, the Doc and Damian Williams. You guys have any communication with them during this year? I know they've opted out of the team. Do you still feel like they've been a part in any way? Have you
absolutely.
talked to them or anything? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that's a decision they made, personal reasons. So that doesn't mean that we discard them. They're good people. So yeah, no, we've communicated. Yeah, absolutely.
We'll go last to Vahe. Go ahead, Vahe.
Hey, Andy. Brad, if I could have a follow-up too. Andy, obviously you've worked with a lot of great quarterbacks, had a lot of great relationships with them. And I know everybody has a hand in the offense, but I wonder if you might be able to describe what distinguishes your collaborative connection with Patrick.
Yeah. Well, I think he loves football. I think our coaching staff loves football. I think you start with that. I think he's a good person. I mean, I like to have good people around here. I mean, that's a positive. he's a gym rat, and I think every gym coach loves gym rats, so we like having guys that enjoy being here and coming to work. So there's nobody that likes it more than he does, right? So he's always around. He always wants to get better. I mean, these are all things I appreciate from him. Yeah.
And then the other thing, the last team to repeat was the Patriots against your Eagles, and I'm curious. You're in the other position now. Do you recall having any takeaway from either what the Patriots presented that day or through the game about how that was an advantage for them and something that applies to you in any way?
Well, it was a heck of a football game. I think it came down to 3 points or so, and I thought my guys played well. I thought their guys played well. I just thought it was a good game all the way around. I would have liked to have come out on the other end of it. I thought Bill and his staff had a great plan. Tom played well, and Donovan played well. So, I mean, it was back and forth there a bit. Greg Lewis actually had the only touchdown, I think, for us in the game. So, and he's on our staff now. But, overall, I just thought it was a good game. I mean, there were individual things I thought about. I remember from it, but nothing that just, blows my socks off there.
Coach, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Take care. Thanks.
All right, let's start first with Aaron Ladd. Go ahead, Aaron.
Patrick, hope you're well. I'm curious how much time you're spending consuming social media and just sports media in general leading up to the Super Bowl.
Probably just a normal amount. You just kind of go throughout it. You see it every now and then, but you're mostly focused on the game at hand. And so you see it when you log on just to get an update. I've seen a lot of like stock prices going up too. I've seen that. So a lot of stuff going on out in the world these days.
We'll go next to Jory Epstein. Go ahead, Jory.
Hi, Patrick. This season has obviously been very different for a lot of families. With you and Brittany expecting, what have been some of those challenges when you're taking on this risk, and how have you gone about navigating this?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been challenging. We have to kind of people are trying to quarantine more and more as the playoffs go on. We've been doing it the entire season. You just want to make sure that obviously that I can play, but that the baby is healthy. And so it's been something where we've been kind of keeping to ourselves, our small group of people that kind of go in and out of our house with my brother and my assistant, Lacey. Other than that, it's been pretty much us all season long.
Let's go next to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Patrick. I wanted to backtrack a little bit to something during the offseason just to get your reflection. You participated in the social justice movement, and I'm wondering if you foresaw the effect that it had and if that sort of bolstered your awareness of just the power of your platform looking back on it now.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was I think it was just time for action for myself. Speaking for myself, it was time for me to say something. It was time for me to go into the community and do what I can to make the world a better place. And I think that was built up of me getting more and more confidence of being able to play and be myself and show myself and people respecting my my platform and what I say. And so I wanted to make sure that I did whatever I thought was best to help the world out and everybody and try to make everybody feel equal and everybody feel like they can go achieve their dreams.
Go next to Miss Karen Kornacki. Go ahead, Karen.
Patrick,
Hello.
first of all, I want to ask you if it feels like a Super Bowl week, and then I want to ask you about the Bucks, how different they look to you than the last time you played them. So does this feel like Super Bowl week, first of all?
It's definitely a little different compared to last year. But at the same time, last year when we were here, we were practicing kind of the same manner, making sure that we were ready to go. You're probably gonna get a little bit more info because you get a full another week where you don't have as many obligations as far as going to different places and media night and everything like that. So it's a little different, but at the same time, I mean, it's just a football game at the end of the day, and you have to make sure you're ready to go no matter when it is.
Go next to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Patrick, you threw a lot to Kelsey and Hill, obviously, during the regular season, but you even upped that during the playoffs. You guys are setting some records right now. Anything about these last two games that you can point to why you went to them so often?
Yeah, I think they're playing really good football right now. I think that's the biggest thing. I'm just taking what's there, trying to get the ball to the guys in space. I'm never someone that kind of chooses who I'm throwing to. I just throw it to whoever's open. And so those guys have been getting open. I've been able to get them the ball, and I'm sure the Bucks have seen that as well. So I'm sure they'll have a game plan to try to slow those guys down, and we'll have to adjust to that.
go next to Sam Mellinger. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Patrick. I wanted to ask you a little bit about something you were asked about earlier about the Twitter and you've done like some things with your hands a few times. I'm just curious. Do you remember the first time that you did something like that? And I'm also just curious if you like genuinely feel disrespected, sort of generally by national folks or whatever.
I don't remember the first time. It's kind of in the moment type thing. You don't necessarily. It's not like it's premeditated. I guess that'd be the word for it. Watching my Law and Order, but no, it's just something that kind of comes out whenever you're in the game and you're trying to do what you can to win, and you kind of let that excitement out. But it's not that I feel disrespected. We get a lot of respect in this, but at the same time, this team, it's like we weren't winning by enough. I guess that's a stat. So we wanted to make sure everybody knew that we could still play good football when we wanted to.
Go next to Diana Rossini. Go ahead, Diana.
Hey, Patrick.
Hey, what's up?
I just talked to Andy about some concerns up front. Obviously you guys have an injury, and you know that the Bucks front four, they're really good.
Mm-hmm.
So can you take me through your thought process headed into this game with the game planning and knowing that you're going to have this challenge? How are you approaching this?
Yeah, I think they have a really good defense in general. I mean, obviously the front is special at every single position, but their whole entire defense, they make a lot of plays. And so for us, you have to have trust in those guys up front. They work their tail off just like everybody else. And so I felt like they've done a great job all year of going against a lot of good defensive fronts. And for me, I just got to get the ball out of my hand in whatever way possible. And not let those guys kind of destroy the game. You want to make sure that you get it to our playmakers in space and try to see if we can make some plays happen.
We'll go last to Vahe. Go ahead, Vahe.
Hey, Patrick. Brad, I'll have one follow-up too. I know we've asked you a lot of different ways about this over the last few years, Patrick, but when you think about your relationship with Andy, I wonder how you would describe the sense of connection with him. It seems like you guys really are remarkably on the same page. Then Brad will have the follow-up.
Yeah, I think it comes from communication. I mean, we communicate throughout the week, me, him, Coach Bieniemy, Coach Kafka, and we have a really good feel for what we want to do and how we want to execute on game day. And so when you have that much communication with those guys and you're on the same page, you understand what they want, why they're calling plays, not just the play that's called. You understand what they're kind of trying to build up towards, and you try to execute the game plan at the same way the way they're calling it. And so it's a cool thing to have these coaches here year in and year out, that I've built this relationship with them, that I understand exactly why we're calling every single play that we're calling.
And then Brad, Patrick, the follow-up is really just, do you remember what age you were when you first became conscious of Tom Brady, or what your first memories of him would have been, how far back that goes?
It's probably September 17th, 1995 when I was born. He's been around for a while.
Patrick, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Good. If you're ready, we'll start first with Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
Pete, how you doing?
I'm well. So it seems like you've had now a couple of opportunities to go against Tom Brady, and it seems like you two may have this little thing going on with each other. How would you describe that, whatever, that maybe competitive edge, if you will?
I don't know what he have against me. I have nothing against him. I just go out there and play hard and try to affect the quarterback with him in the game. But I don't have nothing against him. I think he's a heck of a player.
Let's go next to Aaron Ladd. Go ahead, Aaron.
Chris, hope you're well. We talked to Travis after the game about what feels different this year versus last year. And he said, this team's mindset had a lot of prove it, trying to go out and improve things. Last year maybe felt like you guys were, not belonging. How do you feel about that, I guess?
I definitely agree with what Trav said. It's a lot of history to be made on both ends. You got Tom Brady, who is trying to make 7, and you got the Chiefs, who is trying to make a back-to-back. So, and they haven't been done in a while. So we both fighting for something. And I feel like this year we took up on us as a team to, not only preach a running back, but truly believe that we had the team to do it to running back and repeat what we did last year.
Let's go next to Herbie Teope. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Chris, how are you, man?
I'm good. How are you, Herbie?
Hey, I'm well, thanks. We know what you guys can do on the field. We know what Coach Andy Reid can do from the sidelines. But from your perspective, what about the guy behind the scenes, Brett Veach? Well, what stands out to you or impresses you the most about his ability to build this team and keep this team together?
Yeah, listen, that's a lot of guys that don't get mentioned that play significant roles to keep this team together, starting with the head scout, Ryan Nutt, Brent Tillers, who is the contract guy, the numbers guy, Chris Shea, and Veach, and so far on to the other individuals that doesn't get the media attention that they deserve. Yeah, it's a lot of guys behind the scenes that Mark Donovan has put in place in order to keep this team's success rate high. And I'm very thankful for the Hunt and the Hunt family for keeping me around to enjoy this ride. And we're very fortunate to be here. But Veach and his team is remarkable how they was able to manipulate the contract situation and keep us all together, especially when Pat texts me talking about he left money on the table. That's still baffled to me to this day. How in the hell you leave money on the table when you got a $500 million contract? I still don't get it, but some way they figured it out,
Go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Chris, good to see you. I'm just interested what you learned playing the Buccaneers earlier this year and what you may have learned sort of watching tape of them since that first matchup.
They're on a 6-game winning streak, if I'm correct. The last time they lost was against us. I think when they played us, they kind of readjusted some things and they had a week off and then had a lot of guys get acclimated to the system, Tom Brady likes and their coach, and they've been playing well, especially a later part in the season. They went down to New Orleans and sealed the job on them, and then they went to Green Bay, who was the number one offense, and played outstanding. So they're definitely a different team from when we played them a couple weeks ago.
We'll take 3 more starting at the top with Harold Kuntz. Go ahead, Harold.
Hey, Chris, hope you're doing well, man.
Likewise.
All right, man. Hey, Tyreek Hill said something real interesting after the game, and he talked about, how Twitter was a motivating factor in that game. And I'm just curious, when you guys are kind of looking at everything in social media and what have you, do you guys pull any motivation out of that, or is it just kind of the motivation is winning?
Honestly, I get a lot of motivation from Twitter. I read everything. Might not ever speak on it, but I see everything that people say, and I take it personal. I take it very, very personal. No matter if it's good or bad, I just take it to heart, man. I wear my emotions on my sleeves when it comes to that type of stuff, and I'm not an opinionated person, but when people tend to have their opinion on me or the way I play, I tend to take it personal. So I can see where he's coming from, where that is motivation for him. Kind of motivate me also.
The last 2, Tyrann and then Therese. Go ahead, Tyrann.
Chris, on a radio station down in Tampa yesterday, Bruce Arians said he felt that their offense really came together, starting with the second half against you guys in that game. We talked a little bit, and you really answered the bell against the Bills about the close games, people kind of knocking you guys for close games. So, you guys were up 17, they cut it to 3. Did you feel like they discovered something on you, or did you guys maybe take off the gas pedal? And what's your reaction, since you do take these things to heart, to that comment from Bruce Arians?
Listen, they made a few adjustments and ended up scoring a few touchdowns in the second half of that, but we was able to pull it off. But no comment on that. No comment.
We'll go last to Therese Paler. Go ahead, Therese.
Hey, Chris, how you doing, man?
See you, man. What's good?
I'm good, man. It's good to see you and ask you this question because I think you're the perfect man to ask it to. I know you guys got a tight new locker room, and I know being in there, watching you kind of touch a lot of different corners of that room. So my question to you is, in retrospect, like how much of the team's success this year can be attributed, you think, to the way you guys were able to stick together throughout a trying 2020? Like, we know there was political stuff and people have different ideas, but it seems like you guys were able to really kind of put that stuff aside. And also, it seemed like you created a welcoming environment for everybody and put together and just kind of put off all the trying stuff and come together for the common cause. So just in retrospect, how important was that to building the type of team camaraderie necessary to make a run like this?
Yeah, that's huge, man. Heck of a question, Perez. That's huge, especially keeps the chemistry of the team together. And one quote that the team goes by is team first, team second, and team last. No matter what position of how good you're doing, you got to understand you're benefiting the team, and everybody have that same mindset. Even when Pat was MVP, we still was able to communicate. We still hung out. And that's just how it is within this team. Everybody can talk to everybody group. I go cuss the O lineman out, hang with them, crack a few jokes. They're just the nature of this team in the locker room. It says a lot about, the guys we talked about earlier, Ryan Nutt, finding high character guys, locker room guys that can come in and converse with any type of group and put their personal goals aside for the main goal.
Chris, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Y'all guys take care.
Good. We'll start first with Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Brad, my hand was still up from Tyrann. I had a question for him, so I'm good.
Okay, we'll go to Karen Kornacki. Go ahead, Karen.
Question for me, man. Yeah.
Hey, Tyreek.
Hey, how you doing? Miss
Good.
Karen?
Last year was so exciting getting to the Super Bowl, and this year you
Right.
guys are going back to try to defend that title. But how
Mm-hmm.
different does it feel? Because you guys aren't even going to go until the day before the game, and you don't have all that week-long stuff. So is there some way that you can still prepare in that championship way without all of the ceremony that goes around a Super Bowl week?
Yeah. It kind of sucks that all of the fun, gets taken out of, the media walking on stage and just, meeting different people. But at the end of the day, it's still football. We're gonna go down there, and just play ball. Luckily for us, we had the chance to go down there and play them earlier in the year. So I feel like it's kind of an advantage for us, knowing the field, knowing the weather, and just things like that. Sorry.
Let's go next to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Ty.
What's up, man?
Hey, you're an athlete. You've played a lot of different sports at
Right.
a high level.
Right.
You've played different positions in the game of football.
Right.
I'm just curious, specifically, what is it about football that you love that took you to the sport? And what is it you love about playing a receiver versus the other positions you played?
I don't know, man. I just love, like, when it comes down to football, man, I just love competing. Just going against your man, it's man on man, and then just playing the wideout position, especially like it's either he beat you one play or you beat him. So it's just competing for the ball and just just being that dog. So I mean, when I do something, I want to be the best at it. That's something that my grandparents has taught me, throughout my whole life. Don't be average at things. So it's just the fire in me, man, just competing. So that's all it is. I just love to compete and just trying to beat, who's ever guarded me.
Let's go next to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Tyreek.
What's up, man?
What is it about this team's ability just to kind of respond whenever maybe things don't go well in a game? Whether it's a moment, whether it's a quarter, however long it lasts. What is it about this team's ability to respond to those bad moments?
Well, luckily for us, man, we got tremendous leaders. We got tremendous coaches on this team. I mean, Pat, Kelsey, being those on the offensive side, and then everybody knows Eric Bieniemy. He's very vocal on the sideline. Picking the morale up of the team. So we're very fortunate just to have those guys. Just in this organization. And I'm not much of a talker, but when it's time for me to step up and talk and be that vocal leader for the guys in the wideout room, I say my piece. But I feel like for me, I just make plays. You know what I'm saying? I lead by example, baby. I just make plays. So.
Next to Rob Collins. Go ahead, Rob.
Hey, Tyreek, Chris Jones was up earlier, and he said that he reads everything on social media and takes it personal, uses it as motivation. I know you've been in the social media sphere the last couple of days with other players. What's your thought on social media, and do you use that as motivation as well?
I will say I hate you guys. Yeah, I hate the media so much, man. You know, because not you guys on this Zoom call right now, but you know, social media, it can be fun and it can also be good, man. It just depends on how you use it, you know. But I don't get on social media and just look up things like that. I mean, I think it's good, you know, Chris, you know, using something for motivation like that, you know. I mean, that's what do you call it? Bulletin board material, I would say, you know. So, but for me, man, I just go out there and play. Like I said, I just love the game of football and I just love competing. So I mean, I think last night, man, me and my grandma, we was playing like a friendly volleyball game, and it just got competitive out of nowhere. She's like, "Are you mad?" I'm like, "No, ma, it's just the fire in me, man. Like you put that in me. Like I just want to win." So it's just something about like competing, man. I just love it.
Go next to Pete Sweeney. Go, Pete.
Hey, Tyreek, when you go back to that week 12 game, everybody knows about the first quarter and the sharp call and everything like that. And then they
Right.
changed their plan a little bit.
Right.
What changed from quarter? You were still productive, but what changed from quarters 1 and 2, then 2 through 4 in their plan against you?
I mean, I just got tired, man. I just got tired of running, man. Now let me stop. But for real though, Todd Bowles is a great defensive coordinator. He's been doing it for a long time. So I mean, I'm sure he's seen guys like me, you know, throughout his career. So, I mean, just being able to like dial up cover twos, cover 55 scrums and things like that just slow me down, you know. So, and then also putting Carlton on me, you know, slowing me down and then bringing the safety over top a little bit to double me and Kelsey. So that kind of slowed us down a lot. And then plus their front seven is tremendous. So, I mean, once they get clicking on defense, they're a great defense, you know. So, Devin White flying around the field. So they're great, man. So I just feel like I just got lucky, you know. I was just able to just get open.
We'll go last to Herbie Teope. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Tyreek, how you doing, man?
What's up, man?
Hey, nothing much. You mentioned Eric Bieniemy earlier, and I'm curious your thoughts on him because you were around him a lot.
Right.
How surprised are you that here we are, another NFL head coaching cycle come and gone, and he was not hired?
Right. Well, I'm not a GM or anything, but I mean, I will say, Coach Bieniemy has helped me a lot. You know, the man, the player, and just everything I've become. You know, for this Chiefs organization. But I mean, it's very shocking. You know that he didn't get a job. You know, I know. Like I know deep down inside, like he's gonna like look himself in the mirror and say, what do I have to do better, you know, so I can get that job next year or whenever the case may be, you know. So because he's that kind of dude. Like he wants to get better and he wants to become a head coach. So his time will come. You know, I feel like everything happens for a reason. Like his time will come. Like so it'll come. But with that being said, David Culley did get a job. I will say he was my receiver coach when I first got to the Chiefs. I am real happy about that. So
we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we'll start first with Omar Ruiz. Go ahead, Omar.
Hey, Ty, thanks for taking the time, man.
Yes, sir.
In week 12, when you faced these guys, they were coming off a stretch where they were really struggling to throw the ball downfield. And since then, you know, especially the last few games, they've really stretched it out pretty good and become an explosive passing team. Just what have you noticed in studying them that's different, you know, from their lead up to your guys' game last time and this time around?
Well, I think really, you know, experience. You know, I think a lot of those guys, this is their first time playing together, you know, and I think great things take time, you know, and I think that those guys have been able to kind of settle in, you know, create some familiarity with one another. And then too, they got two running backs that can really run the football well. So, I mean, that can only, you know, add to, you know, the play action, deep shots down the field. And, you know, like I said, those wide receivers seem really comfortable now, you know, with Brady.
Go next to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Tyrann, what's up, man?
Hey.
Wanted to ask you just about the comebacks. Obviously, it was a theme of last postseason. You guys did get down almost double digits last game. Is there just a sense of, because of what you guys went through last year, that it's a particularly no big deal whenever things don't go well at the start of a football game?
Yeah, I think, you know, a little bit of that is just football too. I think at the end of the day,
we practice so hard. I think our preparation is so important, not only to the players, but to the coaches. And so I think ultimately that's what we fall back on. We fall back on our preparation, the little things, the little nuggets that our coaches have told us throughout the weekend. I think all those little things give us, the sense that we can kind of settle down and get back into any football game.
Go next to Nick Jacobs. Go, Nick.
Tyrann, I'm curious for you, what do you take from last year's Super Bowl week and also the Super Bowl? From that experience, what does it do for you this time around?
Last year, you just try to take everything in. Obviously, it was my first time, playing in a big game like this. And so it's a lot of media obligation and different things like that. At the end of the day, it's all about football, though. You can't let this week or next week kind of distract you from, the primary goal. And that's to, be ready for Super Bowl Sunday.
Go next to Len Jennings. Go ahead, Len.
Hey, Tyrann, I hope you're doing well today.
Hey.
Last year, this defense seemed to kind of progress as the season went along. It's like this season, it seems like the same thing, especially what you guys were able to do against the Bills last year. Do you kind of get the same feeling how you guys just seem to keep getting better week by week? And is that by design from Spags?
Well, I think, each and every week we try our best to go out there and, really compete at a high level. I think at the end of the day, especially when you get into postseason, it's all about which team has the better defense on the field. And, for us, it all comes about, winning third downs, not letting teams score over 17 or 20 points. And I think as long as we can kind of, stay in that mindset, I think, we can give ourselves a chance to win any big game.
Let's go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Tyrann, I know we have asked you about Juan quite a bit this year, but in particular the last few weeks, it looks like he's finally putting everything together. Where do you see him as far as entering this game and maybe what he was able to do his rookie year and working his way back?
Yeah, I think, Juan is, coming into his own, once again, obviously, everybody has expectations, for every player. But I think for him, it was all about him taking his time. He was coming off a really, really, really big injury that really affects, defensive backs and reacting and different things like that. And so I think the more games he's played in, the more plays he's made, his confidence is just continuing to grow. I thought last week was probably, one of his best games just from, him reading, reacting, and bursting to the ball. And so I know he's, licking his chops to get back on the field. And so we'll have another big opportunity, a big challenge for us. And I know he's going to come through and make some plays for us.
Go next to Herbie Teope. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Tyrann, how you doing, man?
Hey, doing good.
From a player's perspective, what stands out to you the most or impresses you the most about Brett Veach's ability to build this team and put you in a position to run it back?
Well, I think, most importantly, it's all about, finding the right guys that fit, the culture. I think we can, I think if you have enough money, you can just go get anybody. But at the end of the day, it's all about guys that's, going to come in and add to the culture, guys that's going to come in and really adopt the philosophy, the coaches around them and the leaders around them. And so he's done a great job of putting the right guys, inside the locker room. And I think that's a big reason why we're so close and we're so committed to winning with one another.
Next to Tyrann Petro. Good, Tyrann.
Tyrann, just get your thoughts. Number one, Bruce Arians was on a radio station down in Tampa yesterday and said he felt like the offense really started coming together in the second half against you guys. And I know you guys gave up a couple of touchdowns at the end. That was kind of a theme. It seemed like this team was more focused on, like, maybe the job was done and you guys maybe moved on a little quicker, and there were some scores that made games seem closer than they were. I'm just curious your reaction to hearing him say that that's when their offense clicked, and do you feel like they did something different coming down the stretch in that game?
Well, I don't think it's any secret. If I remember correctly, I don't think I was too happy after the Tampa Bay game. And, obviously we gave up some big plays, but most of those things were technique things, things that we can clean up. So it's all about us just, going back over the details, going back over the little things, understanding that, we're playing against Tom Brady and it's going to take 4 quarters to kind of put this guy away. And doesn't matter how many points we're up by or what the situation is going into the second half, we got to find a way to kind of close the door on Tom because he's always shown, the ability to put his team, back in the game. So it was a learning experience for us, and hopefully, we've learned from it. and we'll be ready to roll next time around.
Tyrann, we appreciate the time. We got to get you to meetings. So
Thank
we'll have Tyreek Hill coming up next.